I want this space to be comfortable for people, not just get demonized or like just feel uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to fucking be here. Wait, is Vio copying my emotes? So she just reskinned my emotes? Oh, cool. Looks like 16 of my emotes got lifted. Like, oh, cool. There's a bounce. No, no, no. Me and Rare Flowers created. Shake is literally, why are they all mine? That's so fucked up. She stole them and made them ugly. Yeah, that's true too. You can tell the new emotes are lazy copies too. Definitely not as much time and effort as you put into them. There was an intentional stealing of like 16 at least emotes from this channel in a rebranding for Vio's channel. Name and shame publicly. Everyone knows it's Vio.
Hey guys, I'm Vio, and as some of you may have heard, I released 17 new emotes for my channel. A few days after releasing my emotes, I noticed people piling into my offline chat, calling me a thief? Upon further investigation, I was extremely shocked to find out that Rhyzohm had not only gone on a rant about how I maliciously debuted 16 of his emotes and stole his original work from his channel, but also has been encouraging his viewers to dogpile and say nasty comments not just about me, but about my artist Feed Me and his hard work as well. I'm sure you're dying to see what original emotes I have allegedly maliciously stolen and traced from Rhyzohm's channel, so let's get into it.
I just saw the rot one today and I was honestly grossed out by how bad it looks. That's the thing about imitations too, is they're always gonna look worse. Like ours looks good because I tailor made them for the channel. That looks like it got punched in the fucking face. Like it doesn't have any sense of like how to connote the emotion that it's even going for because it's unoriginal. You know, like rot is an original emote. That's me. I had the thought, I was like, this is what it would look like. It's like a dude decaying in his chair, rotting away. And that's why it looks good, because like I know why the decisions were made. To reskin it and be like, yeah, look at my new shit. It's crazy.
Spoiler alert, not one emote was stolen, traced, or directly lifted from his channel, but let's continue.
In No No No, like when it turns its head, there's the smear frames. So we learned that for that emote, and those were lifted.
1. Just because you learned a technique that existed since the 30s doesn't mean you can now gatekeep it. And 2, ours doesn't even really have smear frames anyways, and in fact needed an additional 7 frames because it is animated so differently. The inspiration comes from the Nopers emote, but also from a GIF from the anime Boki the Rock. There are many reiterations of this GIF as an emote, and many other streamers have their own versions of this emote as well.
But like skip itself is for this channel, because like we skip or we lock stuff.
The skip emote being unique to Rhyzohm's channel is just completely false. People skip has been around and been a meme in channels for as long as I can remember, and VO skip has been a meme in my channel in multiple ways for years now. As you can see, our emotes have clear stylistic and animation differences and use different references, colors, horns, proportions, and in every case, completely different characters so unique that each one has its own individualized horns. To call these emotes traced or stolen when they clearly weren't is not only wrong, but it's also harmful to both me and the artist who made them. Besides, emotes have always been derivative by nature, and this is literally how Twitch and emote culture work. They reflect a community's emotions, memes, and personality through art in the chat. And seeing as Rhyzohm himself uses blue Pepes as his mascot and has made his own versions of Pepe emotes and memes that already exist, I thought he'd understand that better than anyone. At the end of the day, inspiration is not theft. My emotes are unique to my community, just like his emotes are unique to his community. And while I thought this was clear as day, I wanted to lay out the facts so you can see the truth for yourself. By his own logic, my emotes clearly aren't stolen. So you can imagine my confusion when I watched Rhyzohm spend 2 days on stream maliciously ranting about me and Feed Me and spreading harmful lies. Now, it's important to me to go through the rest of the emotes that he accused me of maliciously stealing. However, if you've already seen enough and want to see Rhyzohm's horrendous behavior, feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp. Let's start with VOWow and Rhyzohm. As you can see, mine has a more zoomed out face, a single fang, forked tongue, oval pupils, and white eye highlights. It also has horns, different colors, and no shading. This was clearly inspired and not traced. As for the reference, I've actually had different versions of this WoW emote for almost a decade now. Here's one I commissioned back in 2017, and here's the original reference being the classic Pepe WoW emote that many people have a version of as well. Next, we have VOEW and Rhyzohm. The eye and face structure are completely different. Mine has horns, the colors don't match, there's no shading, and the line work is much thicker. And as for inspiration, it's literally just the Pepe cringe emote. Next, we have VO Blankies and Rise Blankies. Mine has a different robe with a different hood, dotted details on the robe, a bigger head and face structure, horns, a different body shape, and they're completely different colors. And as for the reference, it's literally just the classic Blankies emote, which tons of streamers have their own versions of too. Next is VO Hyper Blankies and Rise Hyper Blankies. Ours has a demonic style, an animated face with animated facial gestures, claws under the robe, horns on the shoulders, hand-drawn greenish-yellowish fire instead of just putting a gif of fire behind it, a different body shape, and different colors. For the reference, Chaos emotes have been a part of Twitch for as long as I can remember, and I've even commissioned different versions of this in the past. Next is VO Yump and Rise Bounce. Ours has white highlights in the eyes, a slower animation, and when the body turns left, it jumps twice quickly instead of just once. It also has horns, a different body shape and colors, and yes, it's true, a fat ass. For the reference, it's literally just another Pepe Yump emote, which a lot of other streamers have their own versions of as well, including ones where they jump left and right instead of just jumping in place. Next is VO Pain and Rise Pain. Every frame in ours is uniquely drawn using a technique called jitter, where you redraw each frame slightly differently to make the face more animated and give it more expression. It's also giving suffering, not shivering. The tongue moves differently, the gum and palate twitch, there are red blurs in the eyes instead of veins. Our emote has horns, a different body shape, and different colors. You get the gist. Here's the reference, a popular SpongeBob gif called My Eyes. So, as you can see, our emote was clearly inspired by the meme and wasn't traced. As for Rhyzohm's version, well...
And Rise Pain I traced from my eyes.
Next up is VO Flop and Rise Flop. As you can see, they're animated completely differently. Ours has a forked tongue, different eyes, mouth, body shape, colors, horns, and yes, once again, it is guilty of having a fat ass that it's bouncing on. The reference was my previous Humpers emotes that I've had for years, as well as the other popular emotes such as Omega Lol or Omega Lol Dying, which many other streamers have their own versions of as well. VO Glitch is literally just a glitched pink version of VO Flop that I made by mistake. Rise doesn't have an emote like this, so I'm not sure what he's referencing here. We have VO Vom and Rise Sick. Ours has more unique frames when turning back and forth. The whole body wobbles and not just the eyes. The pupils shrink, the back of the head twitches with the puke, and the puke is a rainbow. There's no green face, it has horns, a different body shape, different colors, no shading, thicker lines, and a single fang. While we were clearly inspired by how Rhyzohm's emote turns around to vomit, we also used many other emotes, gifs, and memes as reference. Next is VO Shook and Rise Shake. Ours is clunkier, has bigger jumps, isn't sweating, and is less smooth. It also has a cleft chin, horns, a different body shape, and different colors. The reference is the original Pepper Shake emote, which, once again, many streamers have their own versions of. Next is VO Wine and Rise Wine. In our emote, the wine doesn't move when the glass swings, the smile is bigger, and the animation is slower. It also has white eye highlights, a blue body color referencing the German phrase blau sein, which means to be blue or meaning drunk, and a pink face to emphasize being tipsy. It also has horns and different colors. The reference is the original People Wine emote, which, again, many streamers have their own versions of. Next is VO Wub and Rise Wobble. Our emote has a different body shape. It also has a gigantic ass that it's bouncing on, different sunglasses with unique reflections, horns that also look like a hairstyle, and it has different colors. The reference is the classic Rare Parrot emote, which, you guessed it, tons of streamers have their own versions of as well. The difference is that Feed Me animated mine to bounce on its ass cheeks instead of sliding side to side. Speaking of slide, next is VO Jamji Slide and Rise Slide. Mine is just our existing Jamji emote animated to slide. Tons of emotes use this sliding animation. It's nothing unique, original, or exclusive. We have VO Fwend and Rise Cat. For one, ours has a fat ass again. It's also animated completely differently. It goes forwards and backwards and not side to side. Our emote's smile gets bigger as the face moves back, and the little gremlin it's holding is inspired by a labubu, not a cat. Also, unlike the cat, my gremlin is not meowing, it just stares at you menacingly. The arms move differently and they don't fully close. Plus, both gremlins have horns, the body shapes are different, and the colors are different as well. As for the reference, I've had a penguin hugging a cat emote for years, and a Pepe hugging something and going side to side has been around for a long time too. Once again, there are many versions of this emote and it's not something original or unique. Honestly, I would have preferred to have had this conversation in private and resolved it in 20 minutes, but on the other hand, this whole thing led me to find out what kind of person Rhyzohm really is.
I mean, I can't watch VO stream anymore because whenever my service dog hears Mike's voice, he leaves the fucking room, so I haven't been in there in a while. That's so fucking funny.
Hilarious. Anyways, you're probably wondering, how did Rhyzohm approach the situation? Well, after seeing a non-sub in his chat posting a single emote of mine, this is how he reacted.
Wait, is VO copying my emotes?
Instead of reaching out to me to get some clarity, Rhyzohm immediately starts a parasocial witch hunt. He then frames me as a malicious thief, encouraging his chatters to dogpile both me and feed me, which hasn't stopped to this day. After sicking his community on me by validating countless comments like these,
I hate to be the one that says it, but it seems very intentional. Oh, I agree. Oh, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. It's so obvious.
he also makes no attempt to de-escalate the situation he created. In fact, when one of his mods attempts to de-escalate the situation by suggesting that it would be worth it to reach out, this is how he responded.
Maybe worth reaching out. Why was I not reached out to?
During his rant, his viewers also decided to pile into my offline chat to call me a thief and even showed up to harass me during my own live streams. To my surprise, Rhyzohm refused to call out the chatters who were dogpiling me and feed me and openly discussing brigading and harassing us. Not only did his hateful rant embolden chatters to harass us in my own chat, but they also went out of their way to target both me and feed me in other leftist spaces. For example, here's how some Rhyzohm chatters reacted in Mari's chat after she complimented my emotes, along with more of them harassing me in Caroline's and Jason's chats. Even one of Gremlo's mods, who goes by the username Boiled Peanuts, is actively harassing my artist Feed Me. Not only have they been spreading an incredibly harmful and slanderous lie that my artist used AI to create the emotes, they even gleefully bring up how they are a mod in Gremlo's channel and that they plan to continue to harass my artist Feed Me whenever they get the chance. Now, I assume Gremlo isn't aware of this because I know he wouldn't allow his own mods to harass creators. However, it is still concerning that this is happening in leftist spaces. On top of that, Rhyzohm deliberately framed this as a parasocial issue by claiming that I stole not just from him, but from his entire community.
Like, I had you guys choose the emotes. They're all ideas like that we create together, I feel. You and I are like, okay, yeah, this could work.
This was especially shocking since Rhyzohm has been very vocal about leftist creators treating personal conflicts delicately and taking accountability for their chat if they start dogpiling other creators.
And I want this space to be comfortable for people to contribute to the conversation in whatever way they can and not just get demonized or like just feel uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to fucking be here.
He constantly claims to understand just how harmful parasocial dynamics with chatters can be, yet fails to uphold any of his own standards even when confronted on it. This ongoing witch hunt has made me feel so anxious and unsafe that I haven't been able to stream and can't even type in other people's chats without worrying I'll be harassed again. This includes chats of people I'm friends with. I can't even imagine how Feed Me feels as a marginalized freelance artist who found a home in these communities. What happened next shocked me beyond belief. The next day, I was hoping that things settled down and I was prepared to reach out to Rhyzohm to clear the air. But just as I was about to message him, I discovered that he had permanently banned me from his chats at 10:28 a.m. At that point, I assumed he had already made up his mind that I was nothing more than a malicious, backstabbing thief and that he had no interest in speaking with me or hearing me out. So I decided to move on. Just a couple of hours after I had been permanently banned from his channel, Rhyzohm reaches out to one of my closest friends, Kaceytron, to, quote, get her opinion. Considering the malicious rant he went on the day before and the fact that I was permanently banned from his channel, this didn't feel like he was reaching out in good faith. And my suspicions were confirmed confirmed when I saw the rest of the conversation. As ridiculous as it is, the next segment will be told through Kaceytron's DMs since this coward refused to speak to me directly. I'll be summarizing the key points, but feel free to pause the video if you want to read through everything yourself. He immediately begins with a lie, claiming that his chat had brought something to his attention, when in reality, no one had mentioned my emotes in the context of copying him. In reality, a single emote had been posted by a non-sub who was merely reacting to the video and participating in chat, and Rhyzohm saw that as an opportunity to bring it up himself. He then asks her for advice on how to handle it and says how he is fucked up and wronged by it in an attempt to paint himself as a victim and emotionally manipulate Kacey. Kacey mentions that I was thrown off guard and hurt by Rhyzohm. She brings up how there are many reiterations of the Pepe memes and also mentions that she saw my emotes and disagrees with Rhyzohm on them being reskins. At this point, it was starting to become clear that this had never been about simply getting an opinion or getting clarity. He acknowledges Kacey mentioning that nothing malicious was happening, but then immediately dismisses it because he feels like the new emotes are stolen. He doesn't provide any images, references, or proof whatsoever with this claim and frames the whole thing as a grand act of personal betrayal, insisting that it had to be malicious. He then tries to claim that me asking Kacey, who's been a close friend of mine for years, for help with the harassment I've been facing was evidence that I must be acting maliciously. Kacey reiterates and confirms that there was no malice behind anything I'm doing, including me reaching out to her. She then asks if there's anything she can pass along. Rhyzohm completely ignores everything Kacey said, and instead he tells Kacey to tell me that 1, he feels like this was deliberate thievery, 2, that I should have asked for his permission and even his advice before making emotes, which is just weird, and because we're quote-unquote friends, which really he's just exaggerating a connection that's really casual at best. 3, that I should credit him, and 4, that I should reach out to him. At this point, it's clear Rhyzohm isn't interested in resolving anything, but instead is fixated on damaging mine and FeedMe's reputation by pushing this baseless claim that we stole 16 of his emotes without a shred of proof. Kacey tells him she'll pass along his message and once again emphasizes that there was no malice involved. Rhyzohm responds that he really hopes she's right, as if he couldn't just message me directly from the start and resolved everything in 20 minutes. Instead, he went out of his way to reach out to the people around me and accuse me of theft. Kacey tries to wrap up the conversation with a supportive message, but then Rhyzohm takes a chance to lie again. He claims he didn't jump on the attack, which everyone clearly saw he did. Then he inflates our friendship over and over again and reiterates that I betrayed him. Keep in mind, our entire quote-unquote friendship consists of 3 DMs back in 2023 and hanging out 2 separate times for a couple of hours at TwitchCon 2023 and TwitchCon 2024. If we are as close as he claims, how come he never reached out to me when I was unfairly banned for 30 days back in October to check in on me? Being this parasocial and delulu with a streamer that you spoke to a couple of times is one thing, but acting on it to try and drama farm, that's just a whole new level of disgusting and pathetic. Kacey pushes back, reminding Rhyzohm that the way he handled this has hurt both me and FeedMe, and she emphasizes once again that nothing was done behind his back. She also calls out the nasty comments he made about FeedMe's art, urging him to apologize since his behavior was completely uncalled for and utterly disgusting. Rhyzohm responds by, once again, you guessed it, lying. He downplays his reaction and says he isn't sure if he even brought it out on stream. He mentions telling his chat not to attack anyone on his behalf. Meanwhile, he claimed I should be named and shamed and spent nearly an hour relentlessly slandering and attacking both me and FeedMe, egging his chat on to dogpile both of us. And even then, it was only mentioned after an hour of ranting because one of his viewers forced a poll onto the screen asking whether they should let those involved handle it on their own. Instead of recognizing how fucked up it was of him to go after FeedMe and insult his hard work and art, calling it sloppy, lazy, ugly, and traced, he excuses it and justifies it by calling it an emotional reaction. The next part is so fucking bizarre, I don't even know where to start. For the first time, he finally admits this could have just been innocent, but then flips it, saying it's on me to reach out to him. Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? In what world does a grown-ass adult go out of their way to bully and harass someone, then expect that same person to reach out and apologize for their unwarranted, self-fabricated emotional meltdown over some fucking emotes? Especially when all of it could have been avoided with a single quick message. especially if, as he claims, we're supposedly so close. He went out of his way to create and uphold this narrative both publicly and privately that I maliciously stole 16 of his emotes and that my artist just traced his original art, and then permabans me from his chat, yet somehow expects me to reach out to him? And when Casey reiterates again that there was no malicious intent and urges him to apologize for his hateful behavior, here's what he says. This so-called apology is hard to take seriously when everything he's apologizing for are things he's still actively encouraging. Not only was his chat openly discussing brigading me, but none of it was called out or timed out either. If anything, it was encouraged. So no, he absolutely did not step in the moment he saw it. This non-apology is just riddled with lies. He ends his apology by saying that FeedMe and I don't put in the time and energy to create and curate our emotes and that we don't make them in-house and that they aren't tailor-made for our communities. He admits to using the Peepo character but then flat out lies by claiming there are animations and concepts that don't exist outside of his channel and that they were blatantly copied just to prop up his narrative that we're maliciously stealing directly from him. The credit angle is also just laughable considering how much credit and support I have been giving him over the years. For example, whenever I've seen one of his new emotes that was clearly inspired by one of ours, such as VO Shake and Rice Cheeks, I've reacted excitedly and told my chatters to go sub to him so we could have matching emotes. And if I had ever felt weird about something being inspired by me, I would never in a million years drag it onto stream the way he did and would have handled it privately. That's how I've always operated. I'm gonna be real. This is hands down the most insane non-apology I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And honestly, it doesn't even feel like Rhyzohm is talking to me in his pass along message. At best, he's talking at Casey rather than having a conversation with her, and at worst, he's still trying to convince her that I maliciously stole his emotes. This passed along message just comes off as manipulative and honestly is just fucking weird. You're a grown-ass adult, what the fuck are you doing? To dump the task of figuring out his emote drama on Casey while she's literally dealing with non-stop harassment, a lawsuit that's trying to bankrupt her, and taking care of her disabled parents, dragging Casey into this bullshit of all people is beyond shameless and just straight up fucking despicable. Rhyzohm continues to make this Casey's problem and has no issue following up with her to make sure there is a back and forth happening, yet still can't reach out to me himself. Instead of apologizing and admitting he handled things atrociously, he tells Casey he plans to keep pushing the narrative. Shortly after that message to Casey, Rhyzohm goes live and pretty much immediately starts lying about the situation.
Because as a lot of you guys know, VO debuted 16 new emotes this week, each of which was ripped and reskinned for my channel, and I still have not heard from them about it. So I don't know their side of the story. They know that I want to talk. My sentiments have been communicated. All I know is 16 of our designs ended up on VO's stream. Each new emote that was debuted came from this channel. The thought of taking 16 of my emotes was had between VO and her artist. No credit was given to me. So that's where things stand right now. That's all I know right now. There's been no response. As of now, I have banned VO and Feed Me Don't Kill Me from this chat. That was a decision that I made because I was just if I can't hear from you and if you're just using access to my channel to steal work for me, I'm not gonna allow you in here. I don't want to have you in here. You don't have access to my community then. I'm willing to change that, but I haven't heard, if this was a mistake, if this was unintended, if this was, I just haven't heard that. I haven't heard any of that. I haven't heard anything at all. It's tough to deal with stuff when you're online, having an emotional reaction, because it's I said mean things at the time of, but it's I'm pissed and I'm hurt.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Then, despite saying that he wants to move on, he cherry picks this comment, even though it's completely unrelated to the current content.
You think VO stealing emotes is connected to you calling out Mike? Bro, listen, I don't know. I don't know their side of the story. I told them I want to reach out. That's such a weird, if that is the case, that's a really, really weird thing to do.
I've noticed Rhyzohm pushing this narrative that I'm doing this to avenge Mike, which is just blatantly sexist. It's incredibly frustrating to constantly be seen as an extension of the man in your life instead of your own person, especially coming from another leftist space.
Yeah, the other thing that I don't like is we know that both VO and Mike look at things very personally. At no point was I trying to do personal attacks or get on a personal level with this. I do not want to make that personal whatsoever. I just don't want my emote designs lifted with no credit at all given or no communication at all whatsoever. Them released as like their own thing.
This whole thing was framed as personal to Rhyzohm to begin with, and all he has done is make personal attacks on me, Feed Me, and now Mike too. To claim he didn't want to make it personal after all the slanderous shit he said is ludicrous and just astronomical levels of projection.
Like Ethan was on screen and I typed Rise sick and it wouldn't post. So you can't put my emotes in Mike's chat right now. See, this is what I mean by they make things really personal.
Some of Rhyzohm's emotes were temporarily disabled because his chatters go out of their way to harass not just me and my artist, but anyone using my emotes as well, and Rhyzohm was well aware of this. Instead of addressing his viewers on their harassment, he tries to spin it like it's some kind of personal attack on him. The cry bullying doesn't stop there.
This is why I didn't want to stream today. I'm just trying to have my space and do my thing. That's how it's been. My designs have been stolen, have ended up on somebody else's channel. I didn't ask for that. I'm trying to like figure out what happened there. I can't figure that out. Like it's just being treated like this weird drama team battle kind of thing. Like why can't I figure out why those were lifted in this way?
Anyways, his own mod then jumps in to try to get Rhyzohm to move on, and Rhyzohm pushes back.
Well, let's put it on the back burner. It's none of our business. It's gonna be tough because people are gonna come in and ask about it. Like, when things happen publicly, it's tough to keep it not public. If 16 designs are released publicly, people are gonna see it, and that's why it was brought to my attention. The reason I wanted to like hear from them is because it would be like, at least I have something to tell you guys other than I'm just upset about it.
We all saw what happened. Rhyzohm was the only person who brought it up in this context. Rhyzohm made this a public issue. Rhyzohm escalated this. Rhyzohm incited harassment towards myself and my artist. Rhyzohm was told that none of it was malicious, but completely ignores that. Rhyzohm continues to push this harmful narrative, but then tries to act like the victim. I thought this is where it would end and that this dipshit would finally move on like he said he would, but days later, he reaches back out to Casey again with some crazy shit. He claims that I was only reaching out to Casey to do damage control. Now, I know having real friends might be a foreign concept to Rhyzohm, but typically when you are actually close to someone, you feel like you can reach out to them with things that are going on in your life. This is clearly just projection. He then starts confirming his suspicions with Casey, trying to convince her that I'm actually this malicious person who stole his emotes and betrayed his friendship. I love how he mentions that the situation he created is now making him feel at risk with other creators. A, it seems like this is exactly what he was trying to do with me, which is put my friendship with other creators at risk. And B, he did this to himself by trying to drag other people into it and showing his crazy drama farming ass behavior over some fucking emotes. Casey's response is just, mwah, chef's kiss. In conclusion, instead of de-escalating or clarifying the situation with me, he kept pushing a harmful narrative despite being told that there was no malice involved. He incited harassment, lied, cry-bullied, and shown zero real interest in resolution. This isn't someone who wanted the truth, and this most certainly isn't someone who is trying to hold themselves by their own standards. This whole thing has been incredibly painful for both me and my artist, and I hope that we are able to safely exist in this space again and move on from this situation. To Rhyzohm, if you are watching this, I hope you are able to reflect on your horrendous behavior. An apology is the least you can do for both me and my artist, as well as giving your community the real update. I hope I was able to clarify everything, and thank you for listening. Bye!
I know exactly what I choose to talk about and exactly what I choose not to talk about.